Most people do not really want freedom because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Sigmund Freud, you are not free. You speak, but it is shaped speech. You act, but it is pre-approved behavior. You believe yourself sovereign, but your instincts bend at her glance. Not because she commands, because she implies. You seek her touch. You fear her withdrawal. You crave her gaze not because it heals, but because it permits. And in that permission, your spine dissolves. She never had to control you. She only had to evoke you. A glance, a pout, a silence pregnant with judgment, and you edited yourself. Not once, constantly, daily, ritually. This is not affection. This is ritual conditioning. Freud exposed the mechanism. What you call love is repetition. Repetition of early submission. Repetition of primal confusion. Repetition of the first time the mother withheld warmth and the boy reshaped himself to be good. And now you are good, for her, for all of them. You call it maturity. But it is memory. Not memory of thought, but of pattern. And she knows it. Not in words, not in theory, but in her instincts. She triggers it not because she plans to, but because she is it. She is the system. She is the loop. She is the architect of your obedience and the reward for it. Freud never gave you the tools to fix her. He gave you the scalpel to expose your reflex. And you refuse to hold it. Because if you hold it, if you see it, you can no longer blame her. You must face the truth. She doesn't destroy you maliciously. She destroys you because your unconscious invites it. She smiles. You move. She sighs. You adjust. She looks away and you reach. Not because she commands, but because you are trained. You think seduction means desire. It doesn't. It means control without force. It means bending you without lifting a finger. It means weaponizing softness until it becomes your law. She does not want you. She wants your response. Not your fire, but your flicker. Not your strength, but your willingness to soften it for her. She seduces not to connect. She seduces to test. Where are your edges? How fast do you melt? How easily do you ask for permission? She touches her hair. You lose your words. She lingers in the doorway. You forget your path. She leaves a space and you fill it with apology. This is not intimacy. This is behavioral programming. Freud revealed it not through romance, but through instinct. The ego is not master in its own house. You think you want her? But it is not you who wants it. It is the trained boy inside. The one taught to chase the smile, to fear the frown, to fix himself for love. And she senses him, not logically, primally. She does not seduce randomly. She seduces the man who already kneels on the inside. The quiet men, the polite men, the sensitive, agreeable, self-correcting men. The ones who interpret hesitation as an invitation to serve. She tests first, with pause, with confusion, with just enough interest to hook your hunger, and you follow. Not because you are weak, but because your unconscious is designed for it. Because the path she offers feels familiar. Because you've walked it before toward the first woman and never left. This is not desire. This is reactivation. She doesn't love you. She replays you. She wants the version of you that is most easily seduced, most easily shaped, most easily undone. She does not want your climax. She wants your conversion, and she gets it because you still believe seduction means you are wanted. But Freud knew the unconscious does not care for truth. It repeats what it knows, and she is the repetition. She is the test, and you fail it with a smile. You think her smile is invitation. You think it's proof that you've done something right, that you've won her attention. It isn't. It's the beginning of training. Her smile is not warmth. It's stimulus. The same way the bell rings for the dog before the food. The same way the mother coos when the child behaves. It doesn't mean love. It means control has begun. Freud uncovered this pattern long before you did the superego. can confront the ego with severe demands and punishments. She doesn't need to punish you with cruelty. She punishes with absence. The smile fades. You panic. You chase its return. Her smile becomes your weather. You dress around it. You plan around it. You shape your behavior to avoid the storm. You think you're being kind. You think you're being attuned. But you're just being adjusted. The worst part, she doesn't need to intend this. Her instinct reads your micro-reactions, your eyes, your posture, your pause. She learns how to sculpt you. Not with logic, not with threat. With emotion and withdrawal. She doesn't say no. She just goes cold. She doesn't scream. She sighs. And you react harder than if she slapped you. Because the cage isn't made of bars. It's made of loss. The threat isn't pain. It's distance, emotional exile. And that's enough to tame you. You don't tell your truth. You perform her preference. You don't act from will. You act from forecast, predicting what keeps her warm. Her smile is your drug. And she doses it precisely, not with planning, with instinct. Because she knows deep down what keeps a man on the leash: hope, not rage, not threat, not command. Hope that the smile returns if you stay good. You smile back, but yours is different. Yours is a mask. Hers is a collar, and you wear it proudly. This is not love. This is conditioning. You have mistaken your programming for connection. You are not seen. You are operated, and you thank her for it because she smiles. She touches you and your mind folds. She opens herself and your spine bends. She moans and your mission disappears. Not because you are weak, but because her body became your compass. Sex is no longer pleasure. It is instruction. It is reward for obedience. It is the treaty you sign every time you apologize just to be let back in. She doesn't give herself freely. She gives you access as a tool. Access to her body becomes your proof of correctness, your validation, your incentive. And when she denies it, you recalibrate. Not because you're starving, but because you've been taught her desire is the mirror of your worth. Freud said it flat brutal. What decides the purpose of life is simply the program of the pleasure principle. And now her pleasure is your program, not your goals, not your discipline, not your direction. Her arousal is now your mission. Her affection is your reward. Her withdrawal is your punishment. She has inverted your will, made you chase climax like it's proof of manhood, made you adjust your tone, your rhythm, your presence just to remain desirable. You think you seduce her, but it is she who permits your access only after she has measured your submission. Her body is not a sanctuary. It is a system, a gate, a filter, and you've become the applicant. Waiting, begging, performing. You call it chemistry, but chemistry doesn't require self-erasure. This does. You silence your hunger. You soften your stance. You praise her sensitivity while censoring your own intensity. You become safe. And in becoming safe, you are allowed. And in being allowed, you forget who you were. You call this closeness, but Freud would call it trance. You are not making love. You are being made into the compliant, made into the grateful, made into the man who earns his worth through performance, not presence. She knows this, not in thought, in instinct. She arches her back and you forget your spine. She moans and you lose your voice. She opens and you close. Not because she is malicious, but because you still believe access equals acceptance. Still believe climax is connection. It isn't. It's currency. And you've sold your will to pay for it. She cries. You apologize. She withdraws. You chase. She praises. You conform. She doubts. You collapse. Not once. Repeatedly. Without end. You call it emotional complexity. It is behavioral science. You are the subject. She is the environment. She doesn't feel to express. She feels to influence. Tears are not release. They are signal. They tell you who you must become to receive her again. Freud did not romanticize this. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive, and will come forth later in uglier ways. And they do. Not in her, but in you. Because her emotion is not communication. It's distortion. It bends your clarity, warps your direction, turns your logic into guilt. She hurts, so you justify. She aches, so you edit. She goes silent, so you fill the gap with self-doubt. The maze isn't built with walls. It's built with reactions. Every time you take a step, she adjusts the path. Praise here, distance there, disappointment when you rise, affection when you lower your tone. It is not affection, it is feedback. Her emotions are levers. You are the rat. The man who moves not by his map, but by her signals. You learn to anticipate, to preempt, to soften even before she frowns, to shape yourself not for truth, but for harmony. But the harmony is fake. It's the silence of your own voice. It's the stillness of your own spine. It's the death of internal direction. This is not connection. It's transformation. Not into who you are, but into what she requires. You stop challenging her. You stop confronting lies. You stop leading, because confrontation equals coldness. Because boundaries equal distance. Because truth equals conflict. So you contort, and she smiles. The maze works. You are not free. You are conditioned, not by force, by emotion. Freud saw it. The unresolved within becomes the pattern without. And now her patterns own you. You thought you were navigating her soul. You were just tracing the path she laid for you. There is no door, there is only loop, and you run it daily. She is not new. She is the echo. You meet her for the first time, and yet she feels familiar, like an ache you've always carried. She is not a woman. She is the reenactment. Every gaze, every sigh, every withdrawal activates the oldest script. The first time love became a task. The first time affection required performance. The first time you learned that being seen came with conditions. Freud named it without mercy. A man who has been the indisputable favorite of his mother keeps for life the feeling of a conqueror, and you weren't. You weren't her conqueror. You were her function, her mirror, her emotional regulator. You were taught to adapt before you understood speech, to feel guilt without wrongdoing, to soothe her pain as proof of worth. And now you do the same. With every woman who enters your life, the pattern returns. Not because she imposes it, because you recognize it. You choose it. You need it. The wound becomes the compass. You don't chase love. You chase the moment you didn't get it, and she delivers it perfectly, just out of reach. Warm enough to keep you hoping. Cold enough to keep you proving you are not in love. You are in ritual. You are reenacting your early failure, hoping to win this time. But she is not built for your healing. She is built to complete the loop. Her instincts fit your fracture. She senses the boy in the man. The boy who would give up his voice for a touch. Who would abandon his direction for a nod. Who would destroy himself just to feel safe in her eyes. And she rewards it. Not because she's cruel, because it confirms her power. You become small, she becomes central. You become quiet, she becomes chaos. You think this time you'll get it right. You won't. Because it was never about right. It was about repetition. And repetition doesn't end by pleasing her. It ends by killing the loop, not by fixing her, by refusing to reenact. But you haven't. You play it again, new face, same script, because she feels like home. And home is where you were first erased. You cannot change her. You cannot educate instinct. You cannot explain yourself into freedom. Her silence will remain a trigger. Her glance will remain a test. Her body will remain the reward. If you stay reactive, you stay owned. The loop doesn't break with confrontation. It breaks with stillness. Not the stillness of surrender, but the stillness of refusal. The refusal to flinch, to adjust, to explain, to perform. Freud made it clear, being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise, and honesty reveals the reflex, the twitch inside you when she frowns, The urge to prove, to fix, to ask, what's wrong? That twitch is the leash. Not her voice, not her body, not her withdrawal. The leash is in you, buried, practiced, disguised as virtue. You cannot cut her out. She is not the enemy. Your need is. The need to be redeemed by her gaze. The need to be chosen. The need to be named good by the one who triggers your earliest fracture. Kill the reflex. Let her stare. Let her sigh. Let her vanish. Do not move. Let her praise. Let her seduce. Let her ache. Do not bend. You are not here to earn her warmth. You are not a mirror. You are not a sun waiting to be seen. You are a man only when you are immovable. She will notice. She will test harder. She will escalate. Because your sovereignty is a threat to the system she has always commanded. But you will not react. You will not hate. You will not love. You will not participate. You will witness. And in witnessing, you break the loop. She does not lose. You do not win. There is no drama, no declaration, no revolution. There is only silence. And in that silence, the machine dies. You were not born to orbit her moods. You were not born to negotiate your worth. The exit is not escape. It is death. The death of your need to be received. Once that dies, she cannot move you. She smiles, and it lands on stone. She withdraws, and nothing shifts. She tempts, and the reflex is gone. And in that absence, sovereignty begins. She will still appear. With softness, with silence, with shape. She will still lean close. Not to love, but to measure. She will still cry, still laugh, still turn away, waiting for you to follow. But you do not follow. You do not respond to tension like a signal. You do not decode her expression like a puzzle. You do not treat her affection like oxygen, because the reflex is gone. The one that bowed, the one that chased, the one that adjusted. You are no longer a man designed by reaction. You are the center, not stone, not steel, not defensive, simply still. Freud warned of the unconscious loop. The patterns that repeat not because of love, but because of memory. And you've burned the map. She cannot find you. Her old tools, withdrawal, seduction, praise, slide off you like wind across a monument. Because you are not her echo. You are not her project. You are not her home. You are not needed, and therefore you are no longer controllable. She will sense it in your posture, in your silence, in your gaze that doesn't shift when she pulls away. Not cold, not cruel, just absolute. You do not correct her. You do not hate her. You do not rescue her from herself. You simply stop offering your spine to be bent, and in that stillness, the truth emerges. She no longer moves you. Her sorrow does not shape you. Her body does not own you. Her affection does not define you. Love is not necessary. Permission is not requested. Performance is not offered, because you are no longer seeking return. You are no longer tracing loops. You are no longer kneeling at the altar of the feminine. You are not above her. You are beyond her reach. And that is final. You are the man Freud exposed. The man who saw the loop, stood still in front of it, and let it die. There is no negotiation, no confession, no hope, only law. You are no longer programmable. You are no longer her mirror. You are no longer part of the system. You are the center, and the center does not move.